Okay, kids, I'm gonna read you another bedtime story. This one your mom sent me over, and if I have to pause, it's because your mom sucks at taking pictures. Let's start with this page, whatever page this happens to be right there. I don't know what story this is, but let's just start. Did you ever have a dream that felt so real? You were sure you weren't dreaming at all. This is a story about a boy named Charles Xavier who dreamed he could do many things that an ordinary boy could not. He dreamed his mind could leave his body and float like a feather. He dreamed he could know what other people were thinking before they even opened their mouths to speak. But Charles didn't want to tell other people about his special dreams because he was afraid of how they would treat him. So Charles dreamt of a world where people like himself, people who felt different, could be proud of themselves. The world didn't seem like a very fair place to Charles. His father had passed away when he was just a young boy. Charles lived in his father's mansion with his mother, who loved him very much. But his older brother and his stepfather lived in the mansion too, and they were heartless and cruel to Charles and his mother. Charles began to lose his hair at a very young age, and by the time he was a teenager, his head was completely bare. But that was not all. Charles had always heard whispers of things that no one was saying out loud. As he grew older, he began to hear them more and more clearly. Eventually, Charles realized that he could read minds. As time went by and Charles grew older, he used his gift to gain knowledge. He studied to become a doctor of science. He wanted to learn more about why they had these special powers. Charles soon discovered that he was a mutant, a person born with special abilities. Charles' studies took him all over the world. In Egypt, Charles met another mutant for the first time. The mutant was evil. Charles had to stop him. The two fought on the astral plane, and Charles won. Charles soon met another mutant, a man named Eric Magnus. Magnus could move metal objects without touching them. Magnus knew humans feared and hated mutants. He thought the only way for mutants to keep themselves safe was to use their powers to take over the world. But Charles still dreamt of a world where humans and mutants could live together peacefully. Charles and Magnus met and defeated an evil human named Baron von Strucker, who wanted to use his wealth to destroy anyone he didn't like. Magnus felt that this proved humans were bad. He took the Baron's gold and flew away with it, telling Charles he was foolish to believe that mankind was good. Charles was sad to lose his friend. As he continued his travels, he began to think about returning home. But during a stop on his journey, Charles encountered an alien named Lucifer. He wanted to destroy both humans and mutants. The two fought, and the alien brought down his secret hideaway on top of Charles. Charles survived, but his legs were crushed. He would never walk again. Charles returned home more determined than ever to find other mutants. He would train them to fight any threat, mutant, human, or alien. The first mutant Charles found was named Scott Summers. Charles called him Cyclops for the optic blast he could shoot from his eyes. Next, Charles and Cyclops rescued a teenager from an angry mutant-hating mob. The boy, Bobby Drake, could turn himself into ice. He called himself Iceman. The growing group found Warren Worthington III, who called himself Angel for the wings that helped him fly. Finally, Hank McCoy joined the team. Hank was called the Beast because of his large hands and feet, which helped him swing like a monkey and punch like a gorilla. Charles renamed his home Xavier School for Gifted Youngsters. To the outside world, it was just another boarding school, but secretly, it was a school for the young mutants to learn how to use their powers for good. Charles called himself Professor X, and his team the X-Men, because each member had an extraordinary power. The X-Men soon welcomed their final founding member, Jean Grey, called Marvel Girl. Jean could move things with her mind. Professor X built a computer to locate other mutants. He called the machine Cerebro. It showed that a mutant was attacking an army base. It was the professor's old friend Magnus, now known as Magneto. He had used the Baron's gold to wage war on the human race. Charles knew that only the X-Men could stop his old friend. The X-Men arrived at the base just as Magneto began to attack. And so the X-Men sprang into action and attacked him right back. Cyclops tried to blast through Magneto's magnetic field, but he couldn't. Magneto guided every missile that Marvel Girl tried to send at him right back at her. Angel and the Beast did not fare much better. Magneto attacked them all, but Marvel Girl covered her teammates with a force field. The X-Men were not so easily defeated. The X-Men had come to stop Magneto and turn him over to the police, but Magneto had escaped. The X-Men were disappointed, but Professor X told them he was very proud of them for stopping the attack. Over the next few months, the X-Men trained in a special gym called the Danger Room. The room was filled with obstacles to help the X-Men perfect their abilities, and Professor X used Cerebro to keep a constant watch for new mutants. He found many, but more often than not, the mutants were evil. After many battles, the X-Men graduated and became full-fledged heroes. Professor X had never been prouder of his students. He retired their school uniforms and dressed them in new costumes, but the end of their school days did not mean the end of their missions. In fact, things only got more difficult for the X-Men. More mutants were appearing each day, and humans were becoming more and more concerned. They were afraid of the mutants' powers, even though the X-Men tried to protect humans and live Professor Xavier's dream. People treated all mutants badly. As mutants grew in numbers, so did the X-Men. Cyclops' brother Alex Summers, an energy-blasting mutant called Havoc, and Lorna Dane, called Polaris, for her magnetic abilities, joined the team. But their group was still too small to fight all the threats. When the X-Men went missing on a dangerous mission, Professor X had to assemble a new group to rescue them. In Canada, he recruited a mutant named Wolverine, who could heal himself of any injury and whose claws could cut through almost anything. In Germany, Charles found Kurt Wagner, called Nightcrawler, who could move from place to place with just a thought. Together with Wolverine and Nightcrawler, Professor X decided to seek out more good mutants to help rescue the original X-Men. In Ireland, Charles found Sean Cassidy, Banshee, whose sonic scream could shatter stone and steel. In Africa, Charles met Ororo Monroe, a weather mutant called Storm. And in Russia, the mutant Peter Rasputin, called Colossus, because he could turn himself to metal, bid tearful farewell to his family to join the professor. Charles' new international team wasted no time in search for the original X-Men. The new X-Men rescued the original team from Krakoa, the living island. The new group decided to stay at Xavier School. They trained to use their powers. Soon they too became X-Men. They were a kind of family, but no matter what the X-Men did, trouble seemed to find them. No matter the day, month, or season, the X-Men were never safe. Enemies, both old and new, were always attacking, and with every incident, humans became more worried about mutants. With every battle, Charles felt the need to fight harder for his dream. Whenever Charles felt hope leaving him, he lied down, just as he did when he was a boy, close his eyes and drift off to sleep. And dream. I hope that was a good one for you. And good night, and I love you, McCalled it.